The Lord be with you. Well, what is in your pandemic playlist? What are those things that you have been listening to or reading or watching that have been helping get you through these very strange and turbulent and distressing times in which we live? We have been attempting to sort of analyze and suggest, recommend, interact with some cultural media and entertainment, not specifically for Christian purposes, but certainly through a spiritual lens, because we recognize part of our wholeness and our balancing in this life can be pleasantly distracted and informed by the things that we intake subconsciously. So often those things that aren't there just to give us direct news, but things that maybe even entertain us and somehow help us to be more hopeful and more holistic as human beings. This is meant to be a community, a little more so than other videos that we do on this channel. So certainly you can do all of the virtual community things through this particular video. You can share it with people. You can hit the thumbs up if you do that, and you, particularly because you like this video. It does help the YouTube algorithm and how they share these videos or recommend these videos to other people. You can subscribe to the channel. Obviously, if you haven't already, you can hit the bell button, which I believe gives you notifications when new videos are uploaded. And of course, you can use the comment section. Part of being a virtual community that's trying to help one another is we can comment on the things that we're talking about, the particular forms of media in the video that you're watching, but you can also make recommendations of things that you have read or watched or listened to that have been helpful to you, and other people then get an opportunity to see that and to maybe check those things out. So we are going to continue with that in mind. Up to this point, we have made recommendations for several movies. We have recommended one book up to this point, and I would like to come back to books at some point. There are lots of things that I read that I would like to suggest to you might be good to help you navigate the days of the pandemic. But today I want to come back to music. And the song that I am going to recommend for your pandemic playlist is the song A Long December by Counting Crows. So a little bit of backstory to this song. This song was first released in the year of our Lord 1996 in December, ironically enough. That just happened to be right in the middle of the time that my wife and I were courting one another. It did happen to be a song that we both enjoyed. And those opportunities are rare where we both like the same kind of music, the same song at the same time. So I think for us, that song becomes permanently imprinted in our memories as a song of beautiful, hopeful days when things were just beginning to develop and the horizon was just starting to take shape. One of the things I think we can talk about with this song is that it is definitely, it's a ballad. It is meant to be a slower song, a little more somber or sad song. Musically, it is definitely driven by the piano, although the studio version is a full version with a lot fuller instrumentation involved. And lyrically, it is kind of about someone who has gone through a rough patch and is trying to grow from that. We get that from the opening verse where the character in the song says, I can't remember the last thing that you said as you were leaving. Oh, the days go by so fast. So clearly, there's been some kind of breakup. There's been some kind of injury involved. People are emotionally wounded. But the chorus is what I'm going to kind of focus on. Most times in songs, the chorus remains exactly the same. You repeat the same words after each verse, and that is kind of what holds the song together. What's interesting about A Long December is the first half of the chorus stays exactly the same. But the second half changes literally after every verse. So the part that stays the same is, and it's one more day up in the canyons and one more night in Hollywood. So you get this idea. This is a West Coast song where the person speaking and where their life is centered around has this kind of mundane, repetitive, maybe even trapped nature to it, where they're just constantly in this same place day after day after day. But at the end of the first verse, the second half of the chorus says, "If you think that I could be forgiven, I wish you would." And again, that is where that sort of, that longing, that brokenness, something has happened. There is regret involved, and the character in the song is looking to be able to move on behind that. They recognize that that requires some kind of healing, some kind of restoration that starts with forgiveness. By the end of the second verse, the second half of the chorus, instead of saying, "If you think that I could be forgiven," says, "If you think you might come to California, I think you should." We're not entirely sure, excuse me, if the character in the song is referring to the person that had the broken relationship with them. And if so, then maybe you get this idea that that person has not only left emotionally, but physically from the area. And now there might be just some general feelings and searching, investigating whether or not to come back. And it's left kind of as this open invitation. You know, if my 2 cents count in this decision, then I think this could be a good thing for you. When you get to the third verse, there's this discussion about driving somewhere to meet her after 2 a.m. and to talk a little while about the year. And again, not sure if this is the person that was part of the breakup, was part of that original relationship that's become fractured. If so, it sounds like they've gotten to a place where they could talk again. But if you think that that is moving towards it becoming exactly what the relationship had been before, this is where I love sort of the twist on the chorus in the third verse. Again, he says, "It's one more day up in the canyon. It's one more night in Hollywood," that mundane, repetitious lifestyle. But this time he says, "It's been so long since I've seen the ocean. I guess I should." Which seems anticlimactic if your focus is that the relationship was somehow going to come back together and be what it was before. This is where I see maturing in the lyrics. Is he refers, instead of the relationship, he refers to something bigger than both him and the girl that he had a falling out with. He refers to this big, longer lasting, sort of healing, soothing thing, this ocean that in the mundaneness of living up in the hills and down in Hollywood, you're very close to this large natural phenomenon, and you just don't participate in it very much. And when you finally get to the realization that you can come back and connect to something bigger than yourself, it gives this image of possible healing. The reason I am going to recommend this song for your pandemic playlist is because of where the song gets its title from. A Long December is not in the chorus, but it is part of the opening line to the song, and it comes again at the end of the song. It kind of bookends the song together. And the entire phrase is, "A long December, but there's reason to believe that maybe this year will be better than the last. So despite all of the heartache in the song, all of the melancholy, there is this underpinning of hope. And man, if that doesn't speak to me of 2021, I know we're not in winter. I know this is not December, and maybe chronologically it seems like an odd place for this song in the pandemic playlist. But as I have said in a previous video, we're at that point of spring where the winter is starting to fade away in our memory. We're starting to move past it a little bit. And spring brings hope and possibility for what is to come. And I think for our souls spiritually, a lot of us have gone through a long December. But there is reason to believe that maybe this year, by the grace of God, things will be better than they were last year. Listen to the song. I'm going to put a link to the video in the comment section below or in the description section below. Feel free to give it a listen. If you've heard it before, feel free to comment. If you listened to it again and had a different opinion this time, feel free to comment. If this is your first time hearing it, feel free to comment. Again, you don't have to like it. And that's fine too. We're just making suggestions and recommendations for people to think about things in different way, engage forms of art that maybe bring some hope and some healing to our minds. So as we go through these ongoing days of pandemic and ongoing days of trouble, may the peace of God be with you. Amen.